Hi, I'm Todd Sachs, and in this episode of Inspired, you're going to hear a real-life story of a living donor that gave half of her liver to save someone's life. You're going to hear from a proud father and mother. You're going to hear from a very thankful recipient and her husband. And you're going to hear from the donor, Amanda, who just so happens to be one of my great friends' daughter. This story is going to touch your heart. Sam, so Rich and Mott's are neighbors.
We had always waved to each other from across the pond. In the mornings he'd come out, I'd come out, and we'd wave. And we had heard from one of the neighbors that his wife was really ill. And we never wanted to really interfere because what we heard was pretty devastating. And one day, Rich's air conditioning happened to go out, and I think we were like the only one in the community with an extra fan. So another friend and Rich came over, and I told him to take the fan and use it as long as he needs it. He brought the fan back, and we were sitting out on the back deck, and we were talking.
And this was the first time you guys actually sat down together?
Oh yeah, it's the first time we actually sat down and talked, and I think I cracked you a beer.
I think you did.
and he proceeded to tell us what was really going on, and it just kind of breaks your heart. And when he told me his wife's blood type was B positive, and it was a rare blood type for this operation, I said, I'm B positive. And if there was, any way I could do it, I would do it.
Was that right there in that conversation?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
first time you guys met?
Yeah.
But you weren't able to do it?
No. They said that I pretty much failed every question they asked.
So you went to the doctor?
No, I actually spoke to them over the phone. They sent me the papers, and I knew Amanda was my blood type from the go. I just couldn't do it, and it broke my heart.
Medically, yeah.
Yeah.
So Rich, let me ask you, so when you guys were having that beer and kind of meeting for the first time, what was going through your mind when a perfect stranger was just right off the top saying, hey, look, I'm that blood type and I would be interested in doing it if I could?
It was like disbelief. I couldn't believe it. That somebody was out there going to help us like that. Because all the neighbors said that she had liver cancer, which was not the case. Mm-hmm. It was called NASH, which she had.
What is that?
NASH?
Yes.
It's a non-alcoholic liver disease.
Okay. It's fatal without a transplant.
Yes. It turns into
cirrhosis.
Yes, it turns into it.
So Mott's, what was your prognosis like? I mean, where you guys, now you lived in Florida, right? So you had moved, so just to sort of back up on how you even became Sam and Brenda's neighbor, can you tell us a little bit about the story when you were in Florida?
Well, they diagnosed me that I had pneumonia, and then the lab technician sent a notice down to the nurse's station that they did further blood testing and found out that's when I had a liver problem. And from there on, then they sent me to Largo transplant place, which they said that I was ready for a transplant, and it upset me because they never even had my medical records. That's when I decided at that time I was coming to Baltimore for John Hopkins.
Yeah, we certainly have Hopkins. It's fantastic, one of the best in the world.
So that's when we decided to come to Baltimore.
Yeah, and you had lived in Maryland before.
Yes, all my life up until 2005.
When you guys went to Florida.
Yes.
So Amanda, when was it brought to your attention that Mott's needed a liver?
It was shortly after they met, my parents. And
when your dad had been turned down and you were just having a conversation, I mean, did he prompt you on that, or did you?
No.
Were you the one that said, you know what, I want to do this?
No, we were talking on the phone, and he said that Mott's was B positive and that he was B positive, but he had failed the questions. And I said, well, I'm B positive. I'll I'll do it. Shortly before that, my cousin Micah had been going through difficulties with his heart and needed a heart transplant. And once he got his, that kind of inspired me more to, want to be a living donor. And once I found out that we were the same blood type, I wanted to do it.
Yeah. What did you say, Sam, at that point?
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was amazing, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So were you on a list at that point? So you went to Hopkins, and had they put you on a list?
Well, they wanted to put me on the list, so I would actually say, yeah, they did. But then within our appointment time, that's when we found out about Amanda and Sam. So once I actually went up there for my first appointment, we had already had a donor in line, so they could take me off the list and put somebody else on the list.
Right. Because you said, when we were talking before, you had said that they kind of rate you based on, was it like an ABC or a one?
Yeah,
I mean, what's
it's numbers, how your blood's being processed through
Numbers.
your body, how quick you're going to
And you
pass.
weren't at the high priority,
No,
right?
I wasn't. I was at a low number for them.
Right.
I think it really depends on how your body processes,
Yeah.
with eating and stuff like that,
Right.
as to how, because, once your liver's gone, it's
Yeah.
not processing anything.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time at that point.
So when you decided that this was something that you wanted to do, or you knew you wanted to do it, what was it? I mean, what were the next steps?
The next step was their doctors sent me papers. I had to call and speak to one of the transplant coordinators. They, from there, sent me for 2 days of testing, lab testing, CAT scans, MRIs, all that good stuff. And then I had to wait once the doctors had a conference or a meeting together to know if I would be 100% compatible with MOTS. The process happened really quick.
How long ago was that testing?
That was in October.
Okay.
October 25th and 26th was the testing.
Okay.
And then November was the surgery date, November
Wow.
27th.
It went really fast.
Really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were the next steps? So you went for the testing. They called you up and said,
They said it was a match. They asked me because I knew the recipient, if I wanted to tell her or if they could tell her, because they won't tell anybody anything until they know 100% sure.
yeah.
And I said, we can all tell her. I'll be excited to tell her. So we did. We all told her.
So how did that happen? Was that a conference call, or did you call
Well-
first, or what? How did that work out?
No, I called her and I asked her if she had plans for November 27th. And she
Oh.
said, no, I don't think so. I said, well, pack your bags, Mama, because it's going down.
Oh, wow. Wow. So
And-
she hadn't heard anything at that point.
No.
Oh my gosh, it was like a miracle Christmas.
Hey, Mats, what were you thinking? I mean, what was going through your head at that point?
I mean, it was like the best present you could ever receive from somebody,
Yeah.
non-monetary. And it's just like the angels just said, here, this is for you. And she's been a blessing ever since, and her parents.
Yeah. Rich, what was it like that night when you knew that liver was coming?
I couldn't believe it because I seen her go from good to bad, and it got worse and worse and worse. And then we got the news, angels do exist,
Yeah.
and she's sitting right next to us.
How about you, Sam? And Brenda, what did you guys? I mean, when you knew it was a match, what was it? What were the conversations like? Were you scared?
Yeah, we were scared. We were worried about our grandchildren.
Nervous, yeah. I was nervous for not only my daughter, but for Mott's too.
Yeah. So was there a part in your mind where you're like, oh my gosh, this is, like maybe you were thinking that you didn't want it to happen at that point? Did that ever cross your mind?
No.
No.
No. The
lot
reality
of
came to
praying.
me is when we
lot
signed
of praying.
papers for my grandchildren.
So when you were you then developing a list of questions? I mean, were things just running through your mind? Your daughter's going to give half of her liver. I mean, at this point, really, to people you didn't even know that well.
Right.
You waved to each other back and forth. I mean, but it wasn't like you guys had been best friends.
It
for
was
30.
crazy because when we first
there's a
did
reason.
sit down
for this.
and talk, I told Rich, I said, I felt like I've known him my whole life.
Yeah.
It was crazy. We had so much in common, different things. You know, I'm just so proud of Amanda.
Yeah.
It's hard to see your little girl. But what she did was amazing. And I love her. I love her to death.
Yeah, it was amazing. So Amanda, take us further now. So now the surgery's scheduled. So what happens next? I know your dad said when it came time to sign the papers. So, but even before that, because you said that the legal end happened a couple weeks before the surgery, but so there was a lot of psychological testing that went on.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that for people that may be watching and thinking that they might be able to do something like this? When we talked about why you wanted to do this, one of the things that you said was you wanted people to know that they could be a living donor,
Right.
and that there's a need for people to do this type of thing. So tell us what was the psychological testing portion like?
I mean, for me, it was pretty easy because my mind was made up, but there is a lot of questions that they ask. You know, there's a lot that comes with it after the surgery. You can have anxiety, you can have depression, you can have suicidal thoughts. But I think it was easier for me since, I mean, from the time I was probably 16, 17, and knowing that I wanted to do something for somebody else, it just made that process easier for me to get through by answering those questions.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you have two kids,
yeah.
10 and 12. So you had to have a conversation with them.
Yes.
What'd that look like?
When I initially told them, I mean, they're 10 and 12, so they're, oh, okay, mom's having surgery. I told them what it was and what the extent was, but I don't think they fully understood until the process actually came and they saw me in the hospital, and then home after recovering. But they were supportive. They tell me all the time that, you know, they were happy that I gave somebody a second chance at life, and they're proud of me for it.
So let's talk about the legal aspect of doing something like this. So you had to go to a lawyer and, from what I understand, draw up custody papers because if something were to happen, right? So what was that process?
Well, being told, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen during being a donor, a live donor, and one of them, you know, being death. And I had went to my mom and dad and asked them, you know, do you mind if we went to a lawyer to have papers drawn up that if in case something happened, you guys would have the kids? And they said sure. It was tough because, you know, at that time you get the, all right, this is real, this is happening. Nothing that would cause me to back out of it. I was already at peace with myself and with God, you know, that I was positive going in. But if something was to happen, that I knew the kids would be okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that had to have been when it really started turning serious. That for me anyway, that would have been, you know, because obviously your kids mean so much to you. Yeah. So Mats, or when you knew Amanda was on board with giving you half of her liver, and obviously you were very excited about that. When you would see that Amanda was calling you, was there ever a point in time, I mean, where you just said, oh no, she's changing her mind?
Never ever gave that a thought.
So surgery day. So Amanda, what was going through your mind?
Well,
Last minute thoughts.
there wasn't really much going through my mind. We got up at 3:30 in the morning because we had to be there by 5? It wasn't until they came in to give me the epidural that I was like, okay, you know,
Were you scared to death at that point?
I wasn't scared, I was nervous, because I tried to keep it positive, you know, from the time from the testing.
Attitude's everything.
Just everything. So they came in, they did that. 7:30 rolled around and they said, I'm gonna wheel you in. I'm gonna let you say goodnight to Mott's because you're gonna go to sleep for a while. So I went in, gave her a hug and kiss, told her I loved her, and I'd see her on the other side when we come out. And the surgery lasted about 6 to 8 hours, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long surgery.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I wasn't with it that whole day when I came out, but a couple days later, you know, I just couldn't believe it was over.
I know.
It was quick.
I still can't believe it's over.
Yeah, me neither.
Mats, what about you on surgery day? What was going through your mind?
I was just praying and hoping that both of us made it through because of the danger part of it. But I believed in my heart that we were going to be fine. You know, there's a reason for us to be here and do what we're doing. So, I mean, I was nervous, but I think anybody that gets operated on is nervous. But it felt relief once we hugged and kissed each other and she went her way and I went my way. But it was just like, it was like a miracle.
And you know, the doctors also said it was the most perfect match they'd ever seen. It was one of the easiest surgeries
Yes.
they had ever done. How amazing is that?
Yeah, I would like to thank the Johns Hopkins liver transplant team. They were awesome. They did a great job. Thank you very much for saving my wife. Thank you.
So, today, how are your relationships?
Very close. She
Very
is my
close.
mozzarella.
She's just like my daughter. I mean, I don't think we could get any closer.
You guys talk all the time. Amanda, you had said that.
Just about every day.
Yeah, you had said that you text back and forth, and
Yep.
you guys are all sitting here. I know we went out, all of us, and I mean, it's like one big family.
It is.
Because
So, what would you say, Amanda, to someone who's watching this video or listening to this podcast? What would you say to them?
I would say that if they knew somebody that was in need of help, don't hesitate. It's not as scary as it seems. I mean, you do a lot of research, you know, research it. There's a lot on the internet to read. Make sure you have the support behind you with your family, you know, just go for it. I would say go for it.
So you'd do it again?
Absolutely.
Knowing what you know now, going back in time, I know we had spoke about that, and you have absolutely no regrets.
None. None.
Prognosis moving forward. 100% recovery?
Almost. A couple more blood tests and, you know.
So you had mentioned that the only drug that you would really need to take would be like an anti-rejection drug.
Right.
And do you have to take that for the rest of your life?
Yes.
But other than that, you should have a complete, healthy
Yeah, now
life.
they've already weaned me off of some of those drugs, you know, and diluted to where I didn't have to take 2 a day. I could just take 1 a day.
Yeah,
So that's what the blood works for,
yeah.
and that's twice a week, and that's just to make sure that everything's cooperating together with the medications.
Yeah. And Amanda, for you,
I don't have to take anything.
you don't have to take anything. You're 100%. You said your liver had grown back 100%.
Yep, within 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amanda, you have you were given an award.
Yeah, I was given a certificate of appreciation for giving the gift of life. And all the doctors signed it. So it made me feel good.
Yeah?
Yeah,
So what will you do with that?
I'm gonna keep this on my wall forever.
Are you're going to keep it on the wall, or are you going to tuck it in a drawer to
Nope.
remember?
Nope, it hangs right on a shelf.
Yeah? Well, that's awesome. You really are a hero.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this incredible story. If you know somebody that's in need and you think that you could be of help and save somebody's life, I hope that for me and for any of you listening or watching, that it would be something that you would consider. Thanks for watching.